Another company had approached me about making a movie out of Blue Egg Jazz, a company that made really big movies, and I don't know how serious they were. It was just sort of a passing thing. I think they probably do that with every book that hits the New York Times.
Presumably this was a company that doesn't take 5 years to get a movie out.
Probably so.
Right.
And it became apparent very quickly that I would have absolutely no say-so as to what the movie looked like, that it would just be a mystery to me. I would sell them the rights for a lot of money, and they would do whatever they wanted to with it. And so I said no to that. And these guys they came to town, and I got the feeling that they were going to let me into the process of actually writing the film, which is really what I wanted. And I came to find out that they were actually better storytellers than I was. Also, that they understood the book could not be turned into a film as it was. I mean, it would be a series of slideshows, right? It didn't work as an overall narrative, so we would have to fictionalize a story based on the essays that are in the book. So it would be thematic, and there would be some central characters. And I think in the first weekend that we spent together, it was magical. I mean, it was just like obvious that we didn't have a story by the end of the weekend, but it was obvious that the three of us were going to be able to come up with one that would be very moving, really meaningful, characters that were rich, and also I think it was obvious that the movie would be funny, which is what I wanted. I wanted some sort of comic relief spread throughout the film. And I was just completely energized. I mean, they left, and I was like, this is going to be an incredibly fun year if we get to do this. And so it was pretty immediate. I mean, I think all of us were sort of question mark all over the place when we started that first weekend together. If it was a weekend, I don't actually remember. And after a few days together, it was obvious that we were going to come out of this with a screenplay. For me, I don't know what you guys were thinking.
Yeah, we got on quickly, and mostly when I think about the writing, I just smile a lot because I think of all those times we were at that table, and we'd get going on something, and then Don would say, "Hey, can you give me the laptop for 40 minutes?" And Ben and I would go get a coffee or something like that, and we'd come back, and Don would read us like a section of dialogue that he'd just written that would just crack us up.
We'd be rolling. We'd be rolling on the floor.
I know.
And it's like, and he's enjoying the fact that we're rolling on the floor.
Absolutely. Yeah. An audience. People who are clapping for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, parts of it were awkward because we're dealing with your story, and yet there's things we're fictionalizing. And I got to say, you were a very good sport about kind of the idea of taking, a true to life story and start making things up.
And I got to say, man, the first time we were together, I was like, I lost my dad when I was 7. So not having a father has always been a big factor for me. But I guess I read the book, and I knew that Don had lost his father. So when we were looking at the screenplay, I'm like, well, maybe he needs to, meet his dad, And Don's like, no, that's probably not. No, that's not let's move on from there, or whatever you said.
A hurricane erupted inside me, and I capped it and said, we're not going there.
And this is in front of our big whiteboard that we're trying to get the initial story plots out. And then we go to take a smoke break to smoke our pipes outside, and I'm like, so man, tell me about your dad. And it was just like, And so I remember leaving that session, flying back to Nashville, going, hey Steve, I hope I didn't blow anything for us, because man, I mentioned Don's dad twice, and wow, he's not going there.
And what was amazing about that is I was in the middle of writing the book called Father Fiction, which is about the fatherless journey, and I had not seen or heard from my dad in 30 years, and because of that conversation, found him through a friend at the district attorney's office, and I was in Chicago speaking, and drove across Indiana and knocked on his door after 30 years of not seeing him because of this movie. Because we were writing, you wanted Don, the character, the fictional character, to reunite with his father, to have a relationship with his father, and that meant, dadgummit, I got to follow this character and make it work.
Yeah.
So that's just some of the powerful ways that the fictional narrative can transform our real lives.